Very happy to welcome to the studio Brid Ni Chonaola. Am I getting your name right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
I find with the Irish pronunciations, if you just kind of jump in, you get them right. If you think about them, it all goes pear-shaped. Talking to us a bit about, and you used the word trauma, the trauma of not being able to have children. And I must say, it's something I really identify with, because we tried long and hard to have our children. Yeah. And there were times during that journey when I didn't think it was going to work. And it's a funny position to be in, because in your head you have two visions of the future, and one of them has children in it and the other doesn't. Yeah. And then many times you're faced with which vision of the future is going to be. Yeah. Thank God for us it went one way. Yeah. But for other people, when you get that, I don't know, what, in your own case, were you told? Was there a moment when someone said, look, this isn't going to happen, or how did it work?
Yeah, I suppose what happened, it was kind of a gradual thing, really. It was a gradual realisation that it wasn't going to happen, because we were trying, and I kind of didn't really want to go down the IVF route or anything like that, because I'd had kind of health issues before that. I just didn't think my body would be up to it, really. And then I was told I had stage 4 endometriosis, and it was highly unlikely that I would have kids.
Was that the moment when you were told that it's got a line in the sand that was drawn?
No, not really. I still kept going, with it. And I looked into the adoption process, and we went through all that, and we just kept going and going and going with it, really, as long as I could. And it's funny you mention images, because that is the whole thing. You have this image of the happy, rosy future and the image of the happy family, and it's very hard to give up on that, really, And then the other image is you don't know what is it like. It's empty, it's bleak, it's there's nothing there. You can't really see anything. It's a void. Whereas the other thing is known. You've seen other people do that. You've seen other people have the kids and all that. And so the other thing, it's like dying almost, because you just don't know when you give up, what do you do next?
It's not something that's talked about very often either, is it? And I think you use the word trauma describing it. I think that's a very good word to describe it, because it is a moment in your life when what you had in mind for yourself is thrown into harsh relief. Yeah. And you're having to sit back and say, this isn't what I had in mind for myself. Yeah, this
isn't what my life is going to be about. What I thought it was going to be about isn't that at all. Yeah. It's something else. And it's finding that something else, I think, is really important.
How did you cope with it?
Well, I cried a lot, and what happened with me then was I got an even bigger trauma, which was I was diagnosed with cancer.
This happened after that?
After that, yeah. So then that kind of threw everything into perspective, really. And I really went down into a big hole with the cancer thing, and it just... I couldn't see a way out, and it was really my thinking. I could see that my thoughts were going around and round and round in circles. Every night I'd go to bed, couldn't sleep, and it would just go round and round and round, going to die. I'd see the images of the future, where I'd be rotting in a grave, the really gory details, and my husband rattling around in the house on his own, and I used to feel really, really sad about all that, and I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and then
was it like a double whammy almost for you, because one day you're getting a vision of your future that doesn't have children, and then it's and you may not even live. Yeah, it really, very tough. It
kind of put it into perspective, the children thing, a little bit. It was like, hang on a minute, I might not be around at all, So it was a tough time, really.
How did you cope with that?
Well, I basically did everything I could get my hands on. So people, I noticed that people were very kind to me at the time, with the cancer, and I contacted a friend of mine who's a journalist, and she gave me a list of people to contact, and one of them was a herb man, and he sent me herbs for free, and somebody else did this stuff called the journey work. And then I've met this woman called Mary Collins Osborne, who I said to her, she'd had breast cancer herself as well, and I said to her, this shouldn't have happened to me.
Yeah.
And she said, this shouldn't have happened to you. Is that what you believe? And for a minute my mind kind of stopped and thought, well, of course it shouldn't have happened. Is there another way to think about this? Yeah.
Surely everybody thinks that.
Yeah, exactly.
It shouldn't happen to me.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's what we all think.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when she said, is that what you believe? It was like, oh, you mean there's another way to think about this?
Yeah.
You know? And I was kind of interested then in finding out what that other way was. So she did this thing called the work of Byron Katie, which is a very simple technique of getting the mind to stop very still, get very still and see if what we're believing is true. So, for example, in that one, like, it shouldn't have happened to me. Is it true? Is it true? It shouldn't have happened. There's 4 questions.
Surely,
and
I would have
turnarounds.
thought, yes, it's true.
Yeah,
It
it's
did.
true. Yes, it's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I absolutely know it's true that this shouldn't have happened to me? Well, it's happening to me, and there's no should in that really. It is happening.
Yeah.
So the should kind of gets lost somewhere.
Yeah.
So I kind of think, no, I can't absolutely know that it shouldn't be happening to me. How do I react when I believe the thought? Well, how I react is I fight against it. I get really upset. I go into the future and the past. I blame myself. I blame other people. That's what happens. All this stuff goes on. My mind goes around in circles.
Yeah.
And then the 4th question is, who would I be without this thought? It shouldn't have happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, if I couldn't believe that thought, if it was gone even for a second, I would be just getting on with it.
Right.
And then.
So this technique is to try and challenge your brain.
Yeah.
Really, in
because
a way.
Byron Katie was a woman she was very depressed, and she realised that if it wasn't what was happening to her that was making her sad, it was what she was thinking about it.
Right. Because your mind plays games and tortures
completely.
you. Really.
It's torture, like.
Did it succeed in stopping your mind torturing you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Incredible. And you beat the cancer?
Yeah.
And then the childness thing recurred in your mind.
It did, yeah. Came back again.
That's amazing, though, isn't it? Doesn't that say an awful lot about the power of that in your life?
Yeah.
And you then tried to apply these principles to... I mean, what thoughts were going through your mind that were so negative and so worrying around the child?
Well, I wrote them down there. For example, I can't bear this. This is unbearable. God is punishing me, and I didn't even believe in God really. I'm being punished in some way. I'm missing out because I don't have kids. I'll never be happy. I'll never be normal. Normal and happy seem to be the big thing, and also I won't be able to connect with other people. So I realised through doing the work on it that I didn't need kids to be happy. I could be happy from where I am. The work cuts out the middleman. So I want to be happy. I think I need this thing to be happy, but really I can be happy from here.
Okay.
So it cuts out the middleman. I can be happy from here.
And it's worked for you.
Yeah.
You've found a vision of your... have you found a vision of your future that you're happy with, or do you not think about that? Or...
I don't really go into the future as much as I used to, and I just kind of do what's next, really, the next thing that comes along.
You found that other people, you're helping other people now, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm running a support group for people who are dealing with the same issues as me. Like, they've come to the end of the fertility kind of road, and they've tried loads of IVF, and they've tried everything, acupuncture, everything, and nothing has worked. And it could be going on for 10 years with some people, Yeah, so it's a really tough road, and so they've finally shut the door, and they're not able, but they're not able to be happy about it.
Right.
So
what do you say to them? How do you try and help them?
Well, the big issues. I mean, we all have the same thoughts. My thoughts are their thoughts. So what I've said to you is, I'm missing out. I mean, I worked that with a group last week. Missing out because I don't have kids. What else? Also, what's a big issue for people around this area is other people being insensitive to them.
Are other people insensitive, do you think?
Well, you see, that's the thing. Are they? They're not. I mean, for me, somebody being pregnant in my presence was insensitive to
really?
me. You know what I mean? So
I can understand how that can be, because it seems to me to be very in your face. The celebration of children, they're everywhere. They're in advertising, they're in magazines. If you're in a situation where you've just recently or in the last few months, etc., that's not for you, it must be very hard.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So the pregnant women, would be the big thing, really. And, I had a lot of violent thoughts towards them.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
God.
I won't say them on air. So, and, the fact that they were so happy and, it used to really eat me up,
Right.
Yeah.
But for this, you're sitting down with people. Do they get counselling? I mean, it seems to me that it's a very heavy thing to take on board.
Yeah.
Is it delivered in a situation where people are given counselling or directed towards counselling or directed towards help?
No, the only thing I offer is the work. And the work has worked for me, you know.
Yeah.
And it's very simple and anybody can do it. And especially if you're suffering, you will see the value of it because it pulls you straight out. Like,
some people might have problems with the whole concept of it, of the work it might seem. I don't know what it might seem to them, but they might.
Yeah.
For me, looking at it, it just seems to challenge your thoughts. It seems to be a way of challenging your thought process. And I think one thing we've come up with and seen over the last year or so is that our thoughts can be very dark and very damaging to us, can't they?
Yeah, they can, yeah. I mean, you can use the work for anything. I've used it for obviously the cancer and the infertility, but like issues around work, like there's not enough time, you know, it can be anything. Like there's a lot of facilitators in Ireland who do the work as well, and like some of them have been separated, some are dealing with bereavements, you know, another woman is involved with HIV counselling. So you can use the work for anything, really, to
challenge any thought.
Challenge any thought, doesn't matter what your situation, because it's really the only suffering in the world is caused by our thoughts. There is no other suffering.
Brid, thank you very much for that. Thanks very much for coming in. Pleasure talking to you this morning. If you have any views, let us know. 53106 for your text. You can give us a call. 1890 453 106.